Yeah, I'm pumped.
What new bag?
I ordered a Canon M50.
Oh yes, that's right. You were talking about vlogging and going. Yeah. Very nice, very nice. How much you end up spending?
I got a package. It's got it's got a bunch of stuff with it. I think it was like $800.
Okay, cool, very cool. Oh wow, is that it?
Yes,
Ron Brown's still stuck in the tornado.
Yeah, I think you're live.
Yeah, we've been live.
Oh, okay, cool.
Remember, I cover us up while we're jabbering. That's why I always try to say, don't say anything bad about anybody.
Yeah, we only say bad things about people before the show starts and then after
the show goes off. So don't ever worry about it.
Right. Well, that's what they say, Bill. Always assume that your mic is hot.
Never have any problem. Oh, God, no. We got, 10 people here, I think?
I'm like 12.
Who's
11.
Watching? Somebody's hot. Oh, all right, fine. Let's do this. I think
pretty good.
Right before we went live there, I saw that in the roll up.
I saw it too.
To Drone Therapy Season 4, Episode 31, the analog versus digital show. And at least so far, as you can tell, we have the main characters here. Ron and I are just here to play referee because one of us really has enough knowledge about this particular area to interject a whole lot, maybe ask a question or two. Before we get started with all this, I want to point out that this is for fun. This is just like we were trying to think of a subject that towards the end of last week about what to do, and we're always giving Nemo hell about going digital. So we were like, what the hell? Let's just, see what good points and bad points everybody comes up with. And that's why, as you saw in the trailer, it says we're going to let the chat decide. We're not going to decide because
yeah.
Basically. Okay, man. Okay, yeah. Anyway, so we're going to let the chat decide because we all would basically fly whatever somebody would put down in front of us and say, here, throw these on and try. And so we know that no matter what. So it's just going to be kind of fun here and there. And as you can see, one person is conspicuously missing. Remember? Missing as there is a rainstorm going on in Margate right now. So if Ron doesn't fly away in a tornado, he will try to join us later when power is restored or by phone maybe, but I don't know how the signal will work. We'll have to see. So with that being said, I will throw it around the room and let everybody introduce themselves, first with Mr. Nemo.
Hi, everyone. I am Analog, and I am your father. With that, I'll pass it to John Cuppi.
Wow.
Hello, everyone. I am Digital. And, and with that, I'm going to pass it to Ethan.
Hey, guys. Good to see everybody out tonight. And I guess we're going to talk about digital long, but I've been digital for better part almost a year now. I think I got the system back in late September, October-ish, and quickly converted everything over as quick as I could. And also I recently posted a video about HDR this week, so hope everybody caught that. And with that, we'll throw it over to Bill.
Yeah, and something else, because the other two guys didn't do it, and
we forgot.
Gary might not have been aware. Jay, I haven't seen you in here in forever. It's good to see you, sir. Glad to see Mr. Wait a minute, let me go up here. Hot Rod and Daytona. They were amongst the first few in here. Matt Cundiff's in here. Sam Burns is in here. SoCal Drone's in here. Marcus from Idaho Quadcopter's in the house. I see. I said Sam. Let me go back up through here. Artco Drone Solutions, Chris. Hope. Iggy Drone. I know I saw Brian in here, didn't I? Here it is right here. TDR Drones also in the house. Glad to see all you gentlemen in the house. Please go grab your friends, drag them in, tell them to get on the laptop, come in and join us because this should be fun. Let me see, get back down here. Jay, hey, hell yeah. Sam Burns, good. All right, so we also, since Ron's not here, we have someone to substitute for Ron. So the wisdom is in the house now.
Wisdom.
The wisdom.
You see the other one? Other one.
All right, let's cut the crap. Let's get this started. I'm ready.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's ready to go?
He has notes. Are you ready for this? He actually took notes. He's ready.
Who's going to go first?
We'll let people go first.
Oh, all right. So here we go. Starting off for digital. And just to make sure that the heat's on, fire away.
Anti-digital, not for digital. All right.
Okay, give us the reasons why. Okay, go for it. Give us your play.
I have so many. I'll start with the first one. For me,
are these cons or pros?
These are all cons.
For digital or for okay.
These are cons against reasons why I don't want to do digital.
All right, go.
The first one is the cost. I have 5 flying quads right now. I have 4 5-inch and 1. I'm counting all the ones that would possibly use the DJI Hummity-Doo thing. I would have to get a air unit or a Caddx. I believe the Caddx is what, 150? Is that correct, John?
Yeah.
Okay. So that would be 150 for each quad plus a new set of goggles. When they're already set up, I'm running the analog system on them, and I don't have a problem with it. That's my first one. Would you guys like a what is it called? A rebuttal?
Oh,
Sure.
Hey, wait.
Okay,
I'm going to throw him in the background. Let me bring him out of the highlight zone, and we'll take the omnipotent one out here. Drag him out, and we'll look. I found him. He was wet. We dried him off.
I apologize for being late. I had a little power outage again, but at least it wasn't 37 hours. It's more like about 7 minutes.
That's okay. That's the thing. Okay. Nemo's in the middle of his presentation, so
okay. I'm sorry the slows roll down there. Continue on, Nemo.
Ron, it's okay.
You're perfectly fine. We just want to catch you up, man. Quick shout out while we're taking this mini break here. Nemo, sorry to step on your toes. Johnny Drone Flyer got his FEMI finally, and he's been busy doing updates all day. So just wanted to give that heads up, and we're going to go. I'm going to take a drag. Go ahead, get your drag.
No, I've already said my thing.
He's
you want me to
waiting for
go
it
over it again?
Yeah, I think Ethan got interrupted this time, which is,
So you're going to give a point, and we're going to go point and counterpoint. Is that what you want to do?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, who wants to go counterpoint?
I can go counterpoint.
All right, Ethan.
Okay, if you tally up the costs, so basically you got to think of the digital DJI system as like a high-end system, okay? And if you're doing the equivalent of that in analog, you might be $50 more expensive, maybe. And we're talking if you go with the top of the line high-end analog camera like a Runcam Eagle 2 Pro, and then you throw in, which is probably going to be about $50, and then you top of the line VTX, like a TBS something or other, that's probably going to be close to another $50 maybe. And then on top of that, you throw in a set of HDO2s with rapid fire, you're talking $600 easy right there. So if you take the cost of those two things, all that stuff, and equate it to digital, you might be $50 more than digital. But you also got to think you're also getting a receiver already built into the system if you choose to go that route. And the wiring for the air units is way easier than analog. So you don't ever get that noise if you have a noisy system. And I just think, and if you need to, and all the different menus that come with the goggles, like it's easier to change channel, it's easier to change camera settings. And so that would be my rebuttal right there. So you're getting so much more for a little bit more money. That's if you're going the high end route. If you go now, if you go analog, yes, you can get dirt cheap analog for under $200 if you wanted to go that route.
Okay, I see one. Okay, now we're going to the chat for. Okay, excuse me. Gary gave his point. Emo gave his point, and Ethan gave his point. I can see one SoCal drone saying Ethan wins. So we're going to the chat over this first point. Chat, vote now. Vote now. As we roll back over to Ethan for back over to Gary for our second point.
Okay.
Or Gary's rebuttal.
No, he gave us the first one. He said that digital was too expensive, and then Ethan gave no, analog is too expensive. So chat will decide this point. Now Gary is moving on to his point number 2.
Do I get a counterpoint on that?
Yes, sure. You can have a counterpoint, but he gets a counterpoint as well.
Okay.
All right.
I think starting out, like if digital were out when I started and I first got my Fat Sharks and they were available, then maybe that would have been something for somebody that was just starting off with a set, looking for some kind of video system. But I've had these for years, and it's just, you say upgrading all this, but you said it's like $50 more, but I have to do that times 5 because if I don't, that's stupid to buy all this just to get one quad to run digital.
Yeah,
so,
Mike's got a good point to back you up here too. He's got 13 working quads, and he said it would cost him a fortune to switch everything out to be able to go to digital. So there's another.
Right.
People got a lot of gear already stacked up that they've built and run. A lot of rigs that they've built on and replaced over. How that's another good point. I didn't think about that, especially like an old analog rig that you've gotten used to flying. That hasn't broke, hadn't snapped or anything like that. You just kind of rework it. So anyway, sorry to interrupt that one, and I will throw it back to Ethan for the counterpoint.
Oh yeah, I would definitely agree that if you've already are vested into analog with a ton of quads, that yeah, it's going to cost a lot. But if you do decide, say like the next year comes around and say you're rocking like Fat Shark HDR the HD3s or something, and you're thinking of maybe going HDO2 or maybe the new Orcas or something, you can always buy digital goggles, the DJI digital goggles, and get the adapters so you can still see analog. And on top of that, if you catch this system on a sale, like Christmas, Father's Day, sometimes for $600 you can get the goggle and an air unit. So that's giving you the option to, at least with the goggles anyway, to be able to do both, and then maybe start upgrading a quad at a time. So it's just a thought. But yeah, if you're already vested with 13 quads running that analog, then yeah, it's going to be, that's impractical to switch everything over. I would agree.
Did you see earlier where Mitch said that he said that they both had their place and were both fun, which was really cool, I thought.
Bill, can I address a question, Ethan, to clarify a certain point, Bill?
Yeah, go for it now.
Ethan, I followed what Gary was saying. He has a heavy investment in the analog gear, and I follow what you're saying, that if the prices match up kind of same. So say somebody in my shoes who has very little investment in any FPV gear now, what I have invested means nothing to me at this point. So what you're saying is somebody like me, if I went all digital versus all analog at this point, it's going to cost kind of close. I mean, maybe you could argue a few dollars either way, but it's going to be about the same ballpark. Is that? I'm asking a question. Is that kind of what you're saying, Ethan?
So if you're looking for top of the line, it's comparable with top of the line analog.
Yes. Say if I'm interested in getting, basically FPV state of the art video quality.
Right. You're going to want to go digital, and I feel that a lot of people that haven't flown analog before, if you say you do decide to go the cheap route and the cheap analog, the cheapest stuff you can find just to try it out, I fear that your experience is going to be so terrible that it may dissuade you from really trying to learn how to fly. Where if you went digital, the experience is going to be awesome straight out of the gates. So that's just my thought of it. But you're all talking a much more, significant more investment to get into it.
Ethan, what about
that clarified it for me? Thank you.
Ethan, what about that comment there from Night Train? Because I think that was a valid point at one time, but they've updated the firmware, and that is no longer an issue. A lot of people think that's an issue, but it is no longer a problem at all.
Okay.
Yeah, they make actually a whole bunch of adapters, even like one that can like mount to your strap and just plugs right into the AV jack of the goggles now. And
Real
apparently
professional too. The company in England makes it, right? Like it's real nice looking too.
Yeah, there's a couple ways to do it. Some of them take the faceplate off and like wire it up on the inside. But you're talking about void and warranties and all that stuff that way. But yeah, they make an external one that plugs right into the AV port.
Okay.
So that's also another point is latency.
Yeah, okay, but they just pointed out that was updated through firmware and it's no longer an issue. Now, quickly, before we move on, and I would like to address Ron Brown with the question really quick.
Yes.
Okay, Ron Brown, when people do channel highlights, like we're going to do next week, do you think it's a good idea to read out statistics so that the person that you're highlighting feels good about their accomplishments and stuff so that they can kind of get an ego boost from getting highlighted on the show?
Now you're going to read out what sorry, it was a little background noise. You're going to read out what?
You made a comment on a show last night about highlighting other drone channels, but you thought that it was kind of tacky, or it was more people weren't interested in statistics, and that some shows read out the statistics, kind of like I do when we do, support your local drone.
Yeah, that was a total tongue-in-cheek comment said for comedy value only.
That's so is this, Ron. We were going to say, well, what should we do, Ron? Show more videos, and you took it the wrong way. It was never going to be but a joke, kind of like what that was. But anyway, just a quick jump in there and interject that don't forget that next week is, I think 6 or 7 support your local drone channel. So everyone that's in the chat tonight, if you want to get any more influence over your channel or get some more influx into your channel, please talk about the next week that we're going to have support your local drone channel here on Drone Therapy next week. Yes, we're taking a little bit of a break so that before Nemo goes into his point number 2. And Rigger, you haven't missed anything yet. We've just gone point one, and it's basically analog and digital are even at this point, which is the idea, folks.
Go for it.
So anyway, please be sure to come back next week and throw your channels into the chat so that we can get you highlighted and we can read out statistics live on the air and show maybe a little bit of your banner and maybe a video, if you don't mind, for a little excerpt. So before we go into the next segment, I had something that I have permission to share with you. And if you will check in the description, you will not only see the latest video from all of the other panel members here tonight, as Ethan mentioned, his HDR for YouTube. Ron Brown, I think it was your promotional video on a budget. John Cuppi, yours was the SEMA X500. And
why not to buy that?
Nemo, what was yours? The most recent one? I'm sorry, dude.
Beta Flight 4.2.
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
So check them out. And if you look even below that, tonight's video highlight has been graciously granted to me to show to you. He put it on Facebook earlier. So please, if this intrigues you enough, which I'm sure it will, he flies 90% analog severe. The only reason that he does 90% analog is because what he flies is too small to handle even the Cadix system. So without further ado, Mr. Shutterbug. was pretty dope, man. I mean, Nate can fly a drone, he can build a drone, and he can find really cool places to fly. So if you all thought that was cool, please jump over to Mr. Shutterbug's channel and check out his channel. He does a lot of incredible builds. Oh, and I forgot to do that. That would be kind of wild if he was like watching the show and was like, well, he said he was going to send the link.
You know, that is one thing to point out, that I probably fly the 3-inch more than anything now, just because they're just as fun as the 5 inches, and they're quieter. They can like get in the really tiny spots. They're just a really lot of fun.
Oh, looky here, Ethan.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Thanks, man.
That was a great video, Ethan. I'm gonna watch it again. It was so good.
Very.
That was about 6 months of trial and error trying to figure all that stuff out.
The whole thing is I think I'll be watching it more than one extra time. Like as I start playing with HDR more and more, I'll go back and be like, okay, at 12 minutes and 43 seconds, he talks about this. You know. All right, so I'm sorry I ran us off the rails, but it was all cool. I got us kind of back in the FPV mood. I made sure that you knew about Mr. Shutterbug. Go to the bottom. The biggest reason you need to go to his channel and watch that video is because you all know it's smashed, because I'm coming at you at 720p, and he uploaded it at 4K. So you need to go to his channel and see it, because it's unreal. Okay, we're going back to, we're all done with the first one. Everybody's had their counterpoint. So we're going back to Nemo for point number 2.
Well, real quick, speaking of Shutterbug, he built one of these. It's a 3-inch 1S, and you need to go watch that video too, because he is absolutely ripping it around his backyard. That's why, and you know, you would think 1S 3-inch, you wouldn't get that good of that long of a flight time, but he is just ripping his yard. So anyway, all right, the next one. Right now, if you want to get a digital system, all you have is DJI. That's it. If you want it analog, there's so many manufactured of goggles, VTXs, cameras. You can get a bunch, no matter what.
Come on now, but
and
kick Bite Shark's ass, man.
Does anybody really? Do you really want to put that much faith and trust in somebody that's had issues with, you know, information getting leaked to, or some of the stuff being sold or stolen off of their firmware?
Well, yeah. Okay. Who wants to do the counterpoint? Is it going to be John or Ethan? John, you taking this one?
I don't know if I'm ready for this one, Bill.
Oh, whoa! He's already got. You're giving up. Which one? So, Ethan, can you handle it?
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I think Ethan can handle this better.
So there's no denying that there's only DJI is probably the only game in town when it comes to digital. I know Fat Shark tried, and they might be trying again, but you know, it's like I think Bardwell said it best on his show last weekend when he said, you know, DJI has obviously streaming, you know, high quality digital video with super low latency is very, very hard to do. And, you know, unfortunately that takes a lot of time and money, and, you know, a company like DJI is going to be the company that can do it because they've been doing it with their camera drones for so long. So I think it's going to be, even if Fat Shark comes out with something, I don't even think it's going to even be close to what DJI is already about. So yeah, that is a, you know, a con to it, but you know, that at the state of the things that we're at right now, that's the way it is. So.
Okay, but is there anything in, unlike the camera birds, is there any kind of software in there that sends any kind of information back to them? It's not the same kind of software or anything, is it? It's not like, I mean, I get what he's saying.
Right,
about.
So,
go ahead.
Yeah, there's no GPS module in the goggles or the air units. There is no Wi-Fi connecting in the background. You know.
Oh, SoCal's giving round 2 to Nemo already. Oh, so are you passing on your rebuttal? Are you passing on your rebuttal? You're saying that he's conceding, so that's it.
I mean, he is right. There isn't any other people in the game. So.
Oh wow! So we got to move on. We're going on to point 3. So far, it's actually 2-1 analog.
Well, it was actually 2 points in there. Was the
What was the second one?
being the only game in town and the spying issue.
Okay, what it is though he's coming up with we're doing a point and a counterpoint, so it's just 1 point. So Gary starts it, then either John or Ethan rebucks it. Then if Gary wants to, he can come back, but then they can just come back also, and then we finally decide. Is everybody?
Well, I will say on the second point that you don't have to worry about them spying on you. Kind of like, you know what I mean? When you have this connected to your camera drone, you don't know what the app's doing in the background. Well, when you're flying with the DJI, digital FPV system, there's nothing connected. So, and there's nothing storing information or anything like that.
Captain James T. Kirk is the chat.
Yeah, everybody was worried about, when it first came out, will they be able to lock you out like they do with the camera drones with the GPS module? And there is none of that stuff on there. And if you watch the track record of the development team that created the DJI FPV system, you could tell they're like completely different than, the camera guys, because the way they've been pushing features, and, they even released a hack to get over, to get 1200 milliwatts on the goggles, which, they didn't release it in their official thing, but it just magically appeared on a DJI forum one day, and it works.
Well, here's some. Okay, now Rigor.
Okay, wait.
He has a valid point. I need to address this, though. That's true.
I need to address it too.
We knew that Fat Shark had a digital system ready to go. The leaks were coming out just like they do for DJI. Why did they pull it from the market? That's the question. I get what you're saying about fanboy speak. I've been a DJI fanboy. I'm not going to deny it. I like other drones too. I will not deny there's not another drone in the price range that compares to the original Hubsan Zeno. Nothing. I think that it will I think it can compete with the Spark as long as you know how to edit. But I think what Ethan's point was it was such good technology that Fat Shark completely pulled off the market. They were like, no, we're going to get smashed. And we don't want that kind of embarrassment. If you can give me something to say, another reason as to why they completely pulled it off the market after we knew people had tested it, like Bardwell and stuff like that, had actually played with it. Why did they just pull it and it disappear and evaporate completely? Now, yeah, fanboy, I got you. Totally cool. Fanboys are out there everywhere. Just like an analog person is an analog fanboy. It just happens, which is cool. That's why it says at the bottom, we're just having fun. That's why I'm hoping at the end of the night it's even, so nobody wins. You know what I'm saying? That's why the whole point.
And remember, this is all in good fun. It's not meant to be super serious. Just, so people understand that.
Yeah, it's
so don't you have to register your goggles?
Oh yeah, and the air units.
The air unit. Yep, your air unit too. That was a surprise when I first got it. I didn't realize I was going to have to activate.
Analog doesn't have to register.
No,
you turn it on and go. And Ethan, if they had stuff in the software or the hardware that could do 1200 milliwatts, you think they wouldn't put something in there to kind of get some information from you without telling you?
Yeah, but there's no Wi-Fi antennas or anything. Without physically plugging the cord into the goggles to your computer, I mean, you're not gonna, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't see how they're gonna do it.
There's no internet connection. There's no.
Yeah, you don't connect it to your phone. There's no app or anything for it. It's just literally standalone, just like analog would be.
I mean, to believe that they're doing something to you, say out in the field, it would have to have a 5G cell in it or something that is connecting to a cell tower that's transmitting your information, or it would have to be hacking your home Wi-Fi when you're at home to send stuff back to DJI. I mean, when you're online with the camera birds, yeah, you are directly interfacing with DJI servers for the maps, for the app. All that stuff. I mean, that's a different story. With these goggles, you're plugging them in. They're figuring out, I guess, your computer's IP address. Ooh, big deal. They're figuring out who owns it, your warranty, all that kind of crap. But as far as logging of data en masse. I just don't see it. They don't even have a GPS module in the goggles, right? So there can't be, to our knowledge, there can't be a log.
I've opened them up. There isn't one in there.
Right. Okay.
There's not even Wi-Fi antennas like in there. The only antennas are in it are the ones that are used for the FPV.
Right. Okay. Right. Because you might have a device that's not connected to the internet, but it can have a GPS module in it, and it could log everywhere you go. And then later on, when you update firmware, it could push it to DJI. But they don't even have that in it. Like people have opened this stuff up and have looked at it inside. DJI is not sneaking anything crazy in there.
Yeah, I actually wish the company that made this would make a camera bird just like it. You know what I mean? Without all the, with a standalone controller and a standalone bird,
Absolutely, you're right. And when you talk about how DJI's approach to development with the goggles seems to be very different from their GPS stuff. I mean, look, the idea that the goggles were ever going to interface with open source software with the way that it has, that's a very new thing for them.
Oh, yeah. They could have they could have very, very easily said that to use our system, you have to use our flight controller. They could have done that so easy and made you run something else, made you run a different software other than Betaflight. I mean, they could have easily done that. And actually, people would have still bought it.
And just remember, folks, there's actually no real proof that DJI has ever sent anybody's data, secret data back to China. That's a news story.
Ron
actually has the real proof any place.
Yeah, Ron works for DJI. Ron works for DJI.
Can I say something? Fat Shark is Chinese. You guys do all realize that. Fat Shark is a Chinese company. It's in China.
I thought you said Ron was Chinese.
No.
well, I'm still working on my Mandarin.
All of our stuff is made in China.
All right. And this week's tactful shout out goes to Nemo for thinking comically that John said Ron was Chinese.
I don't even particularly like Chinese food.
Oh, come on now. Everybody likes Chinese food.
I mean, I'd rather get anything else but Chinese.
Does anybody know what the score is?
The score?
Yeah, it was analog 2-1, and I don't even know.
I thought you meant the Yankees score.
No, I'll forget the Yankees, man. All right, so it's 2-1. We're going to point number 3, and we're going to go back to Nemo.
Back to
the score. They're tied, Ron.
Okay.
Thank you. We're actually tied. Thank you. He said digital and analog are now 2-2, and we're going on to point 4. Thank you. He conceded 3 automatically. We didn't even have to hear it.
Okay. I actually was worried about this coming on here. I'm like, hey, this is going to get heated, but I'm actually having a great time. Okay.
Again, real quick, I just want to interject here. To anybody who thinks that this is like super serious or something, what the hell's going on? Bill, turn that off.
Okay. This was already brought up, but I need to bring it back to light. It's the fanboying. We get it. You fly DJI. It's all we see and hear everywhere. People just getting into the hobby, flying a year or less. That's a majority of them. Flying horribly tuned quads with new firmware. It's not hard to get a decent flying quad. But when someone that's been in the hobby and dabbled into tuning, and I don't even know what I was writing here. And these guys saying I've actually heard some channels, some people say that DJI quads with the digital system fly better. And we all know that's not true. It's not going to make you fly any better. It may make you have a better video picture, but as far as flying better, no, I don't think it's going to help you fly better at all.
The reason being is because you can see better. I have an interesting point here. And yes, I'm going to leave it with you for right now while I say this. Someone that has poor eyesight, which is better, for their vision in the long run? A quality digital picture or an analog picture that breaks up? What's better for their vision in the long run?
Well, funny you should say that, Bill, because when you go to the breakup, when a analog system starts to break up, it gets fuzzy and starts flashing, but you can still make it out. You can even lose, like almost completely lose signal, and then hit the throttle and go up where you get signal back again. DJI, if you lose signal, what happens?
Read what he said. Armin said.
Signal with DJI, it starts to get blurry, is my experience. It starts to get blurry. And then it blurs out. Kind of think about like when an image is loading slowly on your computer, right? Or it's just kind of coming in, right? That's the way it is. It gets a little blurry on you. But you know what? I kind of feel like my answer to this question would be neither.
That's what Rick and Martis is saying too.
Oh, is that what he was saying? Yeah, because I feel like neither is going to be better for your eyes. One is not better over the other. Now, do I think that being able to see better, to literally be able to see all that detail better, is going to make you more confident in doing moves? Well, hell yeah, it has been for me. It sure as hell been for me. So, but for bad eyesight, I don't think that's either here nor there.
I wasn't trying to make a point. I just was interjecting that. We need to go back to Gary's point 3. So reaffirm your point so that we can duel on.
I don't even know what my point was. Oh, the fanboying.
The fanboying.
Oh, was that actually one of your points, though?
I mean, yeah. It is because when you're these people that get this system, I'm not saying, I mean, John and Ethan they're exceptions to what I've been seeing, because they're not always like, digital is the best, you've got to go digital, analog is dead, all these things. And it's just like, a couple of times it's like, ha, 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 but I'm telling you, it's
doing the last 3 weeks.
It's everywhere. No, it's everywhere. It's on all.
Tons of people bought it for Father's Day, like me. They got it for $600, and now that people have got it, they're like, "Oh, this is like the best ever!" And everyone's got to tell everybody they have it, and you don't. And that's how people are behaving, which is really unfortunate. Okay, I mean, I don't like it when people throw the system in others' faces. That's not right. And certainly, analog still has a place here at my, in my hobby room, and it will for a long time. I'm certainly not throwing my Fat Sharks away. You guys all know that. I've said that many, many times, that I will never throw my Fat Sharks in the garbage. Well, maybe not never, but you know what I mean.
Okay, but what a minute. So was that actually your point number 3, was that analog versus digital is the fanboy thing?
Yeah, that's what turns a lot of people off about it, is because people get in there, and I'm telling you, some of the groups I'm in.
Here's the thing. Usually, like when you were a kid, you would eat the things that you liked the most, and every now and again, your mom would put something new on the plate, and you didn't know what it was. So it took a lot for mama to get you to try it.
I'm not a kid.
I'm not trying to. You're going to understand my point here in a second. But you had to taste that food once and decide for yourself whether you liked it or not. Part of what's going on is all of these people that have the digital system started out in analog, yes? And then they took a bite of digital and were like, holy shit, man. It's like going from a Big Mac to a sirloin steak. That's what they're saying. They're not trying to be fanboy about it, but they're trying to say that the difference is noticeable. As John has already told you, his confidence is greater because he can see better. Something else, is the field of view bigger or smaller?
I think it's about the same.
I think it's the same, right?
Yeah.
Bill, there are people out there that are not making those kind of arguments. I mean, they're getting in like knockdown drag outs, like F you, this, that, and the other. It's not, I mean, you just need to get on Rotor Riot. Get on Rotor
Riot. So you're saying, so okay. Here's the one. Wait. Okay, sorry. We got a bunch of people came in. Should Mitch? Do you want to come in? Tell me if you want to come in. We'll bring you in to kind of settle it down because it seems like it's already.
Ethan, I saw Ethan just said he agreed with what Mitch says, and I agree with Mitch too. I truly do not care for DJI as a company. They've done a lot of crappy things, but Nemo, I think you can relate to this. What do you always tell me? What do you want to do? You just want to fly, right? And pretty much the same for me. I just want to fly. And part of the reason why I jumped for this system is because I've been flying analog for like 5 years now, 4 or 5 years. And this system really just gave me a breath of new life into this area of the hobby for me. And you know what? If we're all going to get banned from flying in like 2 or 3 years anyway, I want to enjoy what we have now. I want to enjoy this digital while I can now, man. You know what I mean? I just want to fly. I want to enjoy that high def video. I don't need to be a fat shark rebel, throw my dog in the garbage, and you know.
Yeah, it reminds me of the fanboying thing reminds me of like you're gonna have that kind of guys anywhere. I remember back a couple of years ago when you would get a Mavic, or if you saved up money and finally got like a Phantom, then you'd have these other people would be like, "Oh, that ain't crap unless you got an Aspire or something." It's kind of like, it's like, really, dude? That's like
okay.
Console wars. Talk about fanboys. Console wars are the worst when it comes to that stuff. I got GameCube sucks. PlayStation's the best.
Okay.
I will say though, if you're starting out, like I will say again, like if you're just starting out, you will have a much more enjoyable time with the digital system. You just will. It's expensive, but
let me ask Ethan another question. If somebody's coming over from the camera drone world and their first foray into FPV flying, would the transition be smoother to come over the digital or smoother to come over the analog if price is of no concern?
Or digital.
Ethan, I can take this. Ron, go ahead and buy a digital system. Go ahead. That's what you want to hear. Go ahead, buddy.
Here's my thing.
Go ahead.
Here's my thing. Okay,
I'm trying to learn here. I'm trying to get educated.
So bullshit. You went AWOL on FPV boot camp. You failed. You jumped the fence and ran. So I don't want to hear it, man. So
I graduated early.
No, you dropped out, dude.
No, you know what it was?
I stepped up a few grades and graduated early.
Here it is. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. Ron was in FPV boot camp until
he couldn't get the transmitter.
Until that guy from Officer that drill sergeant
until Jim Boyd flew in with a matrice and picked him up and carried him away. That's how he went AWOL. Jim took him away. As soon as that's why there's the extra scratches, Jim. They freed Ron from FPV boot camp.
Well, as far as like people that are just starting out, maybe thinking about getting into FPV, I really think what is anticipated DJI is getting ready to bring out in the next few months is probably going to make it really, really easy for people to figure out how to fly FPV, because I think they're going to make like an FPV drone that has like GPS features on it where you can just click it and it'll fly itself. So I anticipate that, and maybe if you feel like you're getting into trouble when you're in acro, you can just throw the switch and it auto levels itself and just stays there.
Man. If you're doing 45 miles an hour and you think, "Oh God, I'm going to hit that tree," and you flick it into GPS, it's going to hit the tree.
But it might like But I'm just saying, say you're going to learn in an open field, right? And you're not entirely comfortable with it, or like you're like, "Oh crap, I don't know what to do." You can just throw the switch and it'll stop. You just sit right there,
Okay, here's the thing. This is what I wanted to ask you. You all were saying, Nemo, you were saying earlier that it was analog versus digital, and it was like knockdown, drag out, fight. Okay. How about this? You got the two. You got an analog guy and a 5-inch. You got a digital guy and a 5-inch. Then over here, you got a guy flying a Phantom. One of the two guys that over here that don't like each other because of analog and digital going to say to the guy flying the Phantom. They both.
The guy with the.
They're going to drop everything. They're going to drop everything and say, "He's a pussy. He's flying a camera drone."
No, the DJI guy will go over there and hang out with him while the FPV guy stays by his side.
They're going to hang out because they're DJI friends.
Exactly. They're going to get over there
but
and
Go ahead.
But just think, right? If DJI releases what I think they're going to release, it'll be a drone, like a CineWhoop drone with the GPS features in it and the acro features. It already come pre-bound to the remote, already pre-bound to the goggles, and it'll be open it up and go.
And
So Ron will be ready to take off and hopefully not, cut himself.
So what you're saying is this new drone is geared towards DJI fans mainly. It's not going to be intriguing to a regular.
I think it's going to be geared. I think it's going to be geared to anyone that wants to learn how to fly FPV, but doesn't know what kind of time it takes to learn that skill to fly.
So it's an FPV training wheels.
Bill, I got this. It's for anybody who wants to learn to fly FPV but doesn't want to have to go to boot camp first.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's okay. So it's an FPV drone with training wheels.
Yeah,
exactly.
I would say that.
It's got the easy button built in.
But the thing about it is from the pictures that we've seen, that doesn't look like a CineWhoop style. It looks like a standard 5-inch with this like an indestructible frame.
Looks like a Mavic.
But they could still put that, just like, you run a 5-inch with iNav. You could have that stuff already in there.
Oh, yeah, with iNav. Okay, but is it going to be proprietary software?
I'm sure it's going to be DJI stuff. I'm sure it's going to, if it's going to be a DJI drone, you better believe it's going to be
plug
DJI.
It in, update it, go. Plug it in, update it, go.
Right.
Okay, so
just like you do with camera birds.
I already have that with iNav. That's what he was saying. But so here's the thing. This is not going to be geared towards standard FPV pilots. This is going to be a way to, and okay, so what you're saying, Ethan, and what I'm seeing, if I'm seeing your vision right, is that DJI wants to convert its present camera drone enthusiast slowly into the FPV field where they think there's more wiggle room for right now to keep the drones in the air, maybe. And so they're going to convert us over slowly. And since we're already brand loyal to begin with, even with their shortcomings as they tumble into the FPV field, we'll stick with them.
I don't think it's going to be converting people. I think it's going to be adding a tool to the toolbox, just like people that have their DSLRs and then a GoPro.
I love that. I love that. You're saying it's adding a tool to the toolbox because at the end of the day, that's what these are. That's what these can be, right? I mean, you can get shots as a cinematographer, which is the reason why people buy the camera birds from DJI. You can get shots with these drones that you simply just can't get. CineWhoop, no CineWhoop, FPV baseline. You can get some pretty cool shots.
And I can tell you right now how they can steal a whole bunch of FPV pilots that already fly. Because say this is where FPV pilots are limited right now. We're limited in the quality of the HD camera we can carry. Everybody's pretty much limited to a GoPro. Imagine DJI comes out with this basically ready to go out of the box system, already bound to the remote, already bound to the controller, don't have to build anything, with batteries that snap in, don't have to worry about the straps. And it's got a camera on it that rivals like the Mavic 2 Pro or something. I mean, I think that would be appealing to a lot of FPV pilots that do professional work.
That new camera that looks kind of like a Session or something is what you think is going to be on it?
I think it's going to be more. I think it's going to have higher res than the GoPro 8. That's the only thing that would be the only thing I could see them stealing a bunch of already existing FPV people because we're all limited to what GoPro has to offer.
All right, let's put a price tag on it. What else is going to be in the Fly More combo?
I think you probably see it for, everything all together, probably $1,200 is what I would say.
Yeah, we said $1,250. Okay, are you going to get one battery or 3 batteries?
Probably 2. I don't know.
And goggles and a transmitter and a drone, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Because they already have the transmitter. They already have the goggles. They've got the air unit system.
Well, we're all okay. So we got to stop. We got to stop. So what's the point total? We've been screwed everything over. Point total. What was the last one? Was Fanboy. We're going to call that one just we're going to throw that question out. I'm sorry because it's just too bleh. Because you're admitting that both sides hate each other. That has nothing to do with one versus the other. It's like, yes, they're still versus each other.
Good point. We did a tote board with the score.
But it's still 2-1. It's still 2-1. 1.4.
Who's ahead? Who's ahead? Analog?
Analog's still winning.
Analog's got the lead.
Okay. This one goes for stuff that, like, I'm trying to get into is racing. Like, I've got some gates. I bought a little 3-inch, which that's another story about why it's not working. It's beta FPV. But when you start getting into building racers, the key thing is being light, and not just on 3-inch, but 5-inch as well. Like, I have some racing frames over there. And you also, the latency is a lot faster than digital, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? Isn't analog just flat out faster? So in racing, that's the two things that you want. You want the fastest latency you can get, and you want to save weight. So if I want to get into FPV racing and go to multi-GP, I can't do it with DJI.
Yep.
But if I have an analog setup for all my freestyle quads and my Cinewhoop, I can build one, no problem. Super light, get out there and rip.
Oh, there's a good point.
Right. Rebuttal.
Okay, yeah, but did you see what Riga threw up to? Can I fix individual components in my air unit like I can do with a modular analog setup?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, okay, so yes, that's good. We've got that one reboot. And what are we going to Ethan or John for this one? Ethan or John? Ethan or John? John, do you have it? Ethan got it. Who?
Yeah,
I can take it.
Ethan.
Okay.
So wait. John has not gotten into the argument. John
That's what I was thinking too. That's what I was thinking too.
To be honest, though, I don't have anything to say to this because you're right. Okay, to me, you're right. You don't use DJI for racing.
Damn, so it's already 3-1. What the hell?
Hardcore with racing, it's no argument there. Now, for everyday freestyle and even I would say casual racing, especially after the recent update, then I would say it's fine. But if you want to go serious, nobody's doing DJI digital racing. No one's doing it.
So why would you want to get into racing if you don't want to win? That's what I'm saying.
You're going to see.
If I got into racing, I would want to win. So that means I would say. See what?
I think you're going to see different leagues. Like, you're going to see a digital racing league and an analog racing league, just like you see, like Cinewhoop league and then a 5-inch league. You know what I mean? That's what I think you're going to see.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this. I've seen people zip around pretty fast, what looks to be pretty fast to me on the digital system. It's not like there's all this horrible latency that makes it impossible to have a little race, right? It's not impossible, but if we're talking about, getting the best times, the best of the best in the world, okay, nobody's doing that with DJI right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, I just want to ask one question. I'll direct this at Ethan. You always refer to DJI. What if another company, like say another camera company like Autel, say Autel got it and they had digital FPV system. Is your dislike directed just to DJI or digital FPV in general? If other makers got into it, like say Autel or Unique or somebody else that came over from the camera sector that already had all this, digital transmission signal all ironed out.
That's an interesting question, Ron.
That's for me or Ethan?
I'm going to ask for anybody, but mostly it's you because you've really been hammering DJI pretty good tonight. Frank Wang already pinged me and said, "What's up with that Ethan guy?" Gary, with that Emo guy.
Look, I don't dislike DJI at all. I don't. I am sure that the digital system is amazing. I'm sure it is great. But as far as people that have been into FPV and have multiple builds, it just doesn't make sense for someone like me to spend that much money to just get a better picture when I'm used to flying on analog. It just doesn't make any. It's just not. It doesn't make any sense. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And I enjoy flying.
Wait a minute. Did Chris Hook say he's flying FPV now?
He flew a Tiny Hawk 2 line of sight. He flew 3.
Oh, wait a minute. 3. So he flew about 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
but I would say Nemo really clarified his point now, and he clarified it very well.
So is it? It's still 3-1, right?
Yes.
Okay. So did they have it?
Nemo's last point there.
So Nemo won. It's 3-1, right? We're going on to 4.4 or 0.5 because we threw one question out.
How many points?
Yeah, how many points do you have? Because remember now, they get to come back and say why that digital's better, and you've got to be ready to rebuke them. So right now, we got it at 3-1. We'll give you one more point, and then we're going to switch it over to them, and we'll give them 5 points too, and we'll see what happens at the end. All right, fair. Give us your next point, Gary.
What time is it?
It's not quite been an hour yet.
My next point is analog's been around for years. Analog's tried and true. It's proven. It's what we've been using. Digital is new. It's new. It's new kid on the block. So I mean, people are used to flying analog, and people that are used to flying analog are probably going to stick with analog for a while. To answer Ron's question, I probably would consider digital if another company came out with something comparable to it. I probably would. I just don't like DJI the way they do things. I don't know. I think they're like Bill said, they're at the top of their game. They always have been. I don't dislike DJI products. I just don't. I don't know. I don't like the way they kind of come in and just kick everybody out and take over.
People. You don't like how they have a steamroll the market attitude. They come in, they go big. They don't go into anything to fail, except with the RoboMaster, maybe.
Yeah.
The RoboMaster.
I don't
know what the hell they were thinking, but
yeah. I don't either.
If they don't want to. If they expect to fail, and I think that's even more goes in line with that recent price drop for Father's Day. You know, that was totally planned. They want more people to get the system in their hands and talking about it and create this. I mean, this right now probably would not have been created if the system didn't just drop in price and a whole bunch of people jumped on it. I mean, people had a good month there to make a decision to invest in this system right around when people still had some money too for things here and there. So I mean, they must have had tons of freaking orders. So it's all part of their plan. You know, they do it with everything. You've seen it with the camera birds. They come in, they dominate, and they do whatever it takes to dominate. So I get it. It's scary. It's kind of scary.
But John, isn't it true that they're really only attacking the high end of the FPV market or whatever? You know, the cheaper drones in the middle section, they'll be fine. DJI's only taking aim at the highest part of the FPV market, like Apple does. When Apple comes into a new market, when phones or smartwatches, they only went after the very high end. They want to be the lower people at all.
Okay, so what was the point? Or did we? I'm sorry, I'm kind of got lost here. What was the point again, Gary? He would consider another company's FPV. He just doesn't like the way Apple does business. I mean, Apple. Does business. So we got that. So we got that part.
I'd just like to make a comment here. I'll make an add something.
John agreed, so that's 4-1. Thank you.
No, wait. Now he has a. That's just on your side of the coin, and Ethan has the right to change people's minds. So you demanded it. John came in, and I was saying, yes, you're right. John hadn't given his point. He conceded kind of quickly, though. So Ethan can go ahead and give a rebuke.
Well, I would just like to add that it's almost in a way the FPV company's fault that this happened, because if FPV was still underground like it was, 8-10 years ago, and it was underground because it was so difficult to learn how to fly these quads with the flight controllers and setups that they had at the time, they made so much progress in flight controllers and goggles and analog systems that it got more people into the hobby. more people started flying because these quads handle so well now, and they're easier to tune, easier to build. So DJI saw that, and they just strategically made a system that was even better than what they, what we already had. So
okay, so see that's what I was trying to say. I get what you're saying, but you're saying, okay, I fought DJI for being the best on the block and being not so nice. But think about it again. If you look at Maserati or Alfa Romeo or Porsche, they're not always nice to Chevrolet products. So, I mean, the whole point is
not to mention Tesla.
If you design an elite vehicle, you expect other vehicles to measure up. And that's part of where we're spoiled with DJI. I get that. And yes, there's a lot of underhanded things with DJI that we're not sure about. But the whole point is how many people would throw their Teslas away that they spent all that money if they come out tomorrow and said, oh, there's a bug in your Tesla that's giving all your information to the Chinese because of this one little chip. Do you think they're all going to run out and sell their Teslas tomorrow?
Mm-hmm. I would almost equate it to like Apple versus Android or Apple versus PC if you want to talk computers. When I was going through college, I had PCs and they would always, within 6 months be trash. And that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to buy an Apple so I don't have to worry about this stuff anymore. And I've been Apple ever since just because it just works. And I think that's what I like so much about the DJI FPV system. I don't get static, after a crash. I don't have to worry about the doing the whole thumbsticks to get into the Betaflight menu. Don't have to worry about any of that. The whole system just works the way it should.
Right. Okay. Also to add to that, for me, one of the biggest parts of the hobby for me is the building. I love tinkering. I love soldering up a flight controller. I love all that about it. So I don't know. To me, it just seems like all that proprietary stuff that, if you went all digital DJI, the flight controllers all in there, you just, I like being able to have my options of what I want. I want to put Flight One. I want to put, a Brain FPV, whatever. I can choose everything that I want to go in there. My frame, and you're also limited by frames that are out. There are more now than when it first came out, but you're still limited by that.
Well, and that would have been if it hadn't been for Caddx.
Can I just say that Flight One is proprietary software on the flight controller? Just want to say that.
Okay, something else. I see. You can see.
Actually,
that Rigor Mortis has said that he has emailed Skydio and Parrot. Parrot no longer makes consumer drones. They just make the controller right now for the Skydio 2. Now, I want to tell you straight up, Skydio does not give very many drones to actual drone pilots. When the Skydio 2 came out, they only went for action people. And that's what they tend to lean towards. Even Ken Dono, who's had what is his name, Adam Bree on the show, he won't send Ken a Skydio 2 as a test product. Ken had to use DroneWorks to buy a couple of them for him to use. And something else, like Ethan was saying earlier, another tool in the box. Ken Dono has actually interjected FPV footage into his real estate videos.
Man, it looks really good.
It does. It looks phenomenal.
Yeah, but Bill Rigger is not asking for a drone. He's asking for the software. He's asking for like some sort of product development kit for any of those things, or even access to. And again,
I say they don't even give out drones. So they're not going to give out software.
Well, I mean, I get that, but yeah, I mean that's two different things. Giving out a physical drone for free to somebody versus a software development kit. But yeah, I mean, most of them will not give any of that stuff away. That's their secret sauce, and unfortunately, they keep it locked up.
Well, yes, especially with Skydio, because that AI tech what was it? Like Kelly was saying that night, was the AI tech is worth billions.
Yeah, so they're not going to give it up. Right? I mean, they got that big government contract and everything else. You'll never see them open source that.
Yeah.
So, okay, here we go. So the last point was, again, one of those more of a preference point. And what I'm trying to get for here, We've got 3 good valid points for analog and 1 good point for digital. Last question was more of a preferential point, so we really can't do that in the verses. So it's still 3-1. But at this point in time, since he's giving you those, do you all have 5 pros for just digital for Gary to rebuke? Do you all have 5?
I mean, okay, sure.
John, do you have any counterpoints that you know that makes digital better to give Gary the option to rebuke to? Do you have any?
Well, if we're talking about personal preferences,
we're not trying to get personal preference.
I know, but I feel like the points that I have are more personal preferences, honestly.
So see, that goes right back to like Rigor Mortis was saying in the comment that he made last week. It's a matter of personal preference. So the whole point is what I was trying to do was compare the actual product to product. Like, to me, the quality of the video in a digital feed is going to be better than analog. Me personally, I am not going to want to take my quad that far away from me because I'm old, slow, and fat, and I don't climb trees well anymore. So I'm not going to want to walk that far if it drops and I lose it. So I'm not going to go far enough for digital goggles to get blurry and for me to lose it. So in the same sense of the word, I would rather have something clear that I can view and see and understand, as opposed to the grainy, possibly fuzzy, and forgive me, I don't want to go back to my 5-year-old childhood memories of Dad saying, no, stand this way. No, hold it this way. No, hold it this way. Oh, yeah, now I can see. Oh, Jabbar scored that ass. I didn't like the rabbit ears. So
yeah, I mean, I totally agree on that one. Like, look, digital versus analog, that's a no contest there when it talks about the detail that you can see. Period. End of story. The digital system, I don't see how anyone could argue that they see better on analog. That blows my mind. Because the digital system, you can just, especially after that 50 megabit update. Holy crap!
See, now here's
the thing. Put the goggles on, I was just like, "Oh my god, I can't believe."
I get that. And now here's the thing, Gary: have you ever put on a pair of DJI digital? So you really don't know. And I get your total love, because before I even bought my first drone, I had bought a little POS, and the first person I was hanging out with was Dan Sampson, Drone Worship, right? He was really big into the Hubsan 501S. Okay, I despised DJI, because at that point in time, that's what Dan was telling us. Oh, the Hubsan's a great product. He knew the Hubsan 501S inside out, upside down, in between. He could tell you how to modify it, fix the controllers, do all that stuff. So I was anti-DJI, right? Okay, and then Dan kind of went off and kind of did some other things and stuff. And who's got to leave?
No.
Okay. Anyway, but here's my point. And after Dan kind of took a hiatus, I found Billy Kyle, and I became, as everybody said, a DJI fanboy. But to begin with, I was loyal to a brand, just like everybody else is, until I actually got it in my hand and flew it for myself. And I'm not trying to be, it's just night and day different. I mean, when you could put a Hubsan Zeno in my hand, and you could put a Mavic Mini in my hand, and I'm going to take the Mavic Mini unless it's a windy day every time.
Bill, you know what? I can actually relate to that too, because when I first started in the hobby, my first GPS camera bird was not a DJI. In fact, I was extremely anti-DJI. I did not want a DJI because of the Geo system, which at the time was extremely controversial. Also, the Phantom 1 had a lot of sketch stuff going on with it. Didn't want anything to do with it. I literally was very anti-DJI. So, well, look, he's got that. But yeah, I didn't want that thing. So I ended up buying a Blade 350QX from an American company, Horizon Hobby, here in the United States. And then I went on to buy the Blade Chroma, which I know we've talked to Sean Oz about that. He had the Blade Chroma too. And yeah, I avoided DJI like the plague. And I had an analog video setup for that bird, and I had a remote and the controller and all that stuff. And then I got a Mavic Pro. And the difference between my hacked up Wi-Fi chroma crap and 350 crap and the Mavic Pro was just night and day. OcuSync was just the stability of the Mavic versus the chroma. Again, night and day difference. Unbelievable. I asked myself, why did I waste my time with some of this stuff for as long as I did? I should have just gotten the DJI stuff sooner.
So here, my point was who we tend to watch on YouTube and fan over is who we follow and what gear we follow and what brand we follow. Once we find a creator that we like and we tend to want to watch their videos, we tend to follow their brands. That's why they put up affiliate links. You know, that's why. So it's not that, you know, we're not programmed, but in a way, I guess we are programmed because that's what they're trying to get us to do. They want us to watch their videos, but they all really want us to click those affiliate links and buy the products that they show us in those videos. So of course we're going to follow the one that makes the best video, makes the best commercial, hits us with the best features. And right now there's one that's doing it better than anybody else. They're tricking us by giving us these little tidbits and links and making us want to hunt for stuff and look at this Twitter feed and look at this Instagram feed or look at this video and what can we see in the picture. That's cool. People like doing stuff like that. And, you know, that's part of the intrigue. It makes people go to watch that kind of stuff. So it's kind of neat. That's like we've been speculating whether it's going to be a racing drone or it's going to be a Cinewoop. He's been saying it's going to be both. And as you can see at the bottom, I highlighted what Mitch said because he's given some good points about digital. Better range, better video feed, simple wiring, flight controller, you know, as you can see that. Okay, and then in the very next statement, he says, analog points. You can do whoops and small quads. That's the biggest downfall of the digital system is right now it's not small enough to put in the smaller whoops that a lot of people like the toothpicks and stuff that Gary's talking about getting into now that I would really that's the kind of the ones I like is the small ones. That
last point is very good there, more accessible for spectators. You know, unfortunately, with the DJI system, anyone spectating you, that's a tough deal. They have to have the goggles. They literally have to have the goggles, and currently there's no way around that. But
well, you would have to have analog goggles too.
Oh wait, what was that? What were you saying, John?
I was saying, but there might be in the future. Depends. Supposedly, somebody told Barwell that they've got a way to get HDMI out from the DJI goggles to any old screen. So we will see what happens with that.
I cannot wait to see that.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
The smart controller's gonna have DJI fly on it, man. I mean, they've been.
You say HDMI out, John?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah, so there is no way to get video out from those goggles unless you hook it up.
Put it away. Put it back in your box for next time.
So a guy contacted Bardwell and said, I've made a way to get video out over HDMI. And he's like, and I want to send it to you so you can check it out.
I thought that was HDMI in.
Oh, look at those
hey,
Nemo's holding there.
You mean you don't know
you're not loud in this battle?
I think it's kind of worked its way around and it's evened up and we didn't even realize that.
No,
I don't get my point.
Score.
Hey, we didn't even get into the DVR.
I know we didn't even get into that. That's true.
The DVR on all analog is crap compared to the DJI.
As long as nobody's told me they have to leave yet.
The DVR in that goggle is incredible, and that's another thing too.
I'm getting there, Bill.
The air unit is actually
they're catching up right here. DVR
and HD video. Yeah, actually, for me, I feel like I don't really need to fly with a GoPro on to share halfway decent video to Facebook anymore or to YouTube or anything like that. The video that comes out of the air unit, good enough for me. It's honestly good enough for me. So
can you take analog straight off of the camera, the flight camera?
You can, yes.
No, I'm asking Nemo, would you post straight off of the flight camera to Facebook?
I've already done that. I do that. I'll do that. I'm going to do that with this.
Okay, which is going to compare better? The one from the DJI system or the one from the analog system?
You can't fly this with the DJI system.
Oh, man. Yeah. Okay,
even
but
if you were to use the goggles,
and it fit the DJI system. Are you really going to tell me that the video that comes from this is not going to be as good? Come on, man! Come on, you gotta give up. You gotta give something. You gotta give something up. The video that comes out of this, just baseline with the air unit, SD card in the side, is absolutely free.
So your SD card goes in that.
Yep,
it goes actually in the air unit.
Mm-hmm. It goes in the air unit. Yep.
And there's one in the goggles. There's one in the goggles too.
Yeah, and there's one in the goggles too. You get your DVR.
So there's actually an SD card in the goggles?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
what are you? That records video, and then there's a DVR in the goggles. So you're recording two different videos.
That's right. That's right. Yep. Basically, Ethan, what the onboard from the air unit is exactly what the air unit sees without any of the blurring, any of the little blips that you might have in your signal while flying. This is just the clean version.
And it's 1080p.
Wait. I thought you said
1060. Yep.
What did you say about the blips and blurs and your flying? What was that, John?
What? I'm talking about the blips, the digital blips that you might get.
Oh, I thought it didn't get any blips.
Okay, wait a minute. What he's saying? Here's one. What's the latency comparison?
It's 23 milliseconds.
Yeah, it's a 23 millisecond difference, which I'm sorry, I don't feel it. And I don't
you see what he's saying here? That's what he's saying. He's saying, okay, he said it's the latency. He's saying,
if you are not racing, I mean, I don't see how you could feel the difference.
There's what it's breaking down to. So freestyle, here's where it's coming from. It's freestyle versus racers. That's what it sounded like to me. Because a freestyle pilot is going to appreciate the flowing digital type moves as opposed to a racer that's going to want a clear video and not blurring as he's going into to hit turns and stuff as he's going through banks.
But let's not overstate this, okay? When you talk about blurring and whatnot, when you're moving fast, after the 50 megabit update, when you are moving quickly on this thing, you're not getting a whole lot of blurring. And I'm sure Ethan can agree with me on this one. Like, you see a really good image when you are pushing this thing. Now, if we are talking, again, down to the second, hardcore racing, so that's a whole different story. But for everyday ripping with freestyle, I don't feel the difference. I really don't.
Yeah. And plus, and to add to that, like if you want to talk about latency where it really matters, and that's where it really matters is when you're like hitting corners really, really fast or like hitting gaps really fast. And to be honest with you, I fly better. I noticed it right away as soon as I started flying digital. I was flying proximity way better. I was flying faster through proximity. I was flying through gaps that I would normally wouldn't even try because I can see it. You know what I mean? That overrides any latency that you have.
Right, and the ability to see, again, for me, it adds so much more confidence that I can see what I'm doing. I can see what I'm going through. I mean, the ghost branches is not as big of a thing with the digital system. It's just not. And the ability to just see everything is fantastic when you're doing that.
It's all about the speed thing. That's what they're saying is that's that big of a difference.
Well, and be honest with you, when you're racing through gates, you know where those gates are.
Yeah, but whether you care about pretty scenery or not, it's the ability to see. It's simply the ability to see what you're looking at.
But what he's trying to say is if they're busting ass, right, and they're full stick forward heading towards gates, that the latency is too much for them to hit it properly, that it will throw them off enough to where they'll wreck.
Well, I have not tried that, so I cannot say it. So
I would say racing wise, it would make them slower, but racers know where the gates are. You know what I mean? When you're hitting gaps through trees or whatnot, you don't know if there's a little ghost branch there or not. And that's where the digital system really comes into play. Like I can fly under my truck now because I can see all these little and if I just tweak the throttle a little bit, you see it instantly if you go up just a little bit. You know, it's
yeah.
I just think being the ability to see crystal clear like that makes up for any kind of latency that it has.
Yeah, exactly. And we're not talking about a whole lot of latency here. We're really not. Like I said, we have to be I want to be very careful not to overstate the latency feel because it's really it's almost non-existent. Like I agree with old guy in a drone, Mitch, who's saying that it almost feels like we're nitpicking a little bit here.
Oh yeah.
If we're just talking freestyle, I don't know how anyone. I don't see how someone could feel it. I really don't. Maybe I'm just not hardcore enough.
Well, see, that's what I was. There's so many diversions and so many different segments of the FPV arena that that's what I'm noticing. Like, okay, as a Cinewoop pilot, as opposed to a freestyle pilot, as opposed to a racer, all their gear is going to be different because it's going to be matched differently. Like they were saying, the racer's going to want as little latency, as close to a clear picture as they can get, but they don't want any latency at all so they can see to hit the gaps in the gates, right? Okay.
I want to see that when I'm doing freestyle as well. If I'm coming toward a gap and I think I'm too high or too low, when I adjust or I turn to come into it, I don't want any latency there either. So it's not just for racers; it's for freestyle as well.
Well, I can almost guarantee you, unless you're a professional racer, you will never know the difference. You would never know.
I am a professional, Ethan.
When I switched over, I felt it was almost an improvement in latency. I think it's purely just because I can see better. So my reaction time is faster because I can see.
Right, and I feel the same way too. And I see Rigger saying, you know, I can see, John, I can see. Look at my vids. Rigger has some very, very good vids on his channel. He's really good. But we're all different here, and I do not do as well with analog versus digital. I simply don't. I love that ability to just boom, see everything. I feel maybe, who knows, maybe it is all just in my head, right? But I feel like I can see, so I'm doing more. I'm taking more risks. I'm doing just quite a bit more than I used to with the digital, because I feel like I can see everything. It's made a huge difference for me.
John, that's because you switched to Crossfire. That's right. It's not because of DJI Digital. It's because you went to Crossfire that now you feel more confident in your flying. It has nothing to do with digital at all. Just Crossfire.
It's just Crossfire.
I would disagree with that. I had Crossfire way before I went digital. So
I just got into Crossfire, so it's made me more confident about my downlink, but I never had any problems with Free Sky for the areas that I flew. We actually were just talking about this the other day because Nemo was asking me, you know, what made you go to Crossfire? And I said, I wanted a Tango 2 and the price came down. So it just seemed like the right time to do it.
Right.
That was pretty much it for me. Free Sky, all things considered, for the areas that I flew, I was fine. Now, if I'm going to go to a completely unknown place, of course, I would always want Crossfire, because if you don't have it, then you better fly it and you make sure what you can and can't get through. There's a lot less confidence in the Free Sky system.
Yeah. I would also like to add,
in terms of pulling through to do moves, man, I feel like the DJI system, just that ability to see is really what made the difference. My downlink in the areas that I fly for control hasn't really changed that.
I will also say, like if you ever, you know how like if you're flying analog for a long time, you get a feel for your range or what you can fly through, because you know it breaks up a certain amount. You know, and if you lose it, you can pop up and get it back. Well, the digital system is almost exactly the same. Just does it differently. It just does it differently.
Yeah, it just does it a little bit differently, but it's totally cool because you know when you're getting blurry, you know when it's, you know, taking the bit rate down. It's the same kind of thing. It's literally the same thing. It just reacts a little differently.
Yeah. Yeah, you get used to it, just like it. And I don't even fly with the, you know, the side things getting blurry anymore. I just notice when the picture starts to get a little blurry, I know, and I'll just glance at my bars and look at my bit rate real quick. And if it's starting to drop, I know I need to shoot up or get out from behind what I'm behind. You know?
And that's very similar to analog, right? What do you do when your video's getting real scratchy in analog? You try to punch it. You try to get out of there. So, you know,
this is something else. It's something else you got to monitor in the OSD, which you're limited to when you have DJI. You can't get everything that you can with Fat Shark and digital because all the OSD features they're just not there.
Yeah.
So what are you missing? What do you think would be missing for you? Because they've added a lot of them. A lot of them.
It doesn't matter for me. I'm talking about my analog argument.
Okay, but what are you missing that DJI has not added that would be a problem? What is so important that you have to have on that OSD that's not there?
I do not have a digital system, so I cannot tell you what they don't have that I would need.
So I will fill in the blank for you
right now as an analog pilot. What do you always put there?
Okay, I have, all right, cheesy, but I have craft name.
We got that.
I have average cell count, average cell.
We've got that.
I have voltage.
We have that.
And I have VTX channel.
Got that.
And
we got that too.
And link quality.
Got that too.
We got that too.
It even does current and
wait. Mitch has got one. Where's it at? Here. They need system messages.
Well, the system warnings. That's the big one.
They do need the damn warnings. Why have they not added that yet?
I don't know why that wasn't the first thing they put on there.
I know, man. Jeez.
The warnings is like that'll solve a lot of problems.
So regardless of what score people think might have come up, we're ending the evening on a tie because Gary's got to go build airplanes tomorrow and needs to get some beauty sleep. So with that being said, I got a feeling, Ethan, do you need to book too, or can you hang?
I can hang for a little bit longer.
All right, so we will let Ron, you good, or you want to go?
I got a few more minutes of me.
All right, well, we'll let Gary say his good evenings. And folks, please, this was not serious. This was all meant for fun. And it seems like we could probably come back in 3 or 4 months and visit it again and have fun again because there's so many things here and there. And what we really need, and I've talked about, Gary said he would be willing to actually test the DJI system if we could get away to purchase an air unit and goggles for him. So unless we come up with a GoFundMe, he's saying he ain't going to spend the money on it, but we could intrigue him into, trying it out and putting it into a quad, but we have to give it to him for free. So that's something to think about while I pass it over to Gary for his good nights.
Actually, this was actually it was a good time for me. I was a little concerned. I'm like, I'm going to get heated and blah, blah, blah. But, John and Ethan, we are always messaging each other and talking about stuff. And so it doesn't matter to me. It's all in good fun. And I don't care what you fly, just as long as you don't talk trash to me because of what I fly. That's all. I don't care.
Just fucking Yankees hat.
If you want to fly, I don't know, string, go ahead. I don't care. Just don't say that what I fly is inferior and keep bringing it up and blah, blah, and starting internet arguments. I really don't care. And with that.
Yeah, because we're always
as a crappy Fat Shark user, I totally understand.
Well, the thing about it is what you all don't understand is, like you said, we have kind of a little group that we all constantly stay in contact with each other throughout the week, 7 days, 24/7. We're always bullshitting with each other. We're always talking, and we're always busting Gary's balls about digital and analog. So we knew that we were more afraid that the chat was going to go bananas tonight, but everything stayed pretty cool because I'll fly. If you give me an analog quad and say, "Here, Bill, fly this," and I'll be like, "Do you mind if I crash it?" And you say, "No, watch me fly it." It's that simple. But you're gonna have to tell me the same thing if you have me a DJI system too, because I'm gonna crash it. So
You and many
you,
others
Gary.
are crashing their DJI system out there with very badly tuned quads, if I may say.
Well,
as Nemo knows.
Well, thank you, Gary, and we were grateful to have you here. We're going to do this again, but next week, don't forget, he's going to be here. We're going to do support your local drone channel with statistics.
I love.
All right, bye everybody.
Later, dude.
Take care.
All right, so we're in general bullshit mode because I don't want to start bashing on analog while he's gone. I can't really say anything about it. So, what news do we have, folks? I haven't even looked what drone. Oh, did the drone actually fly near Air Force One?
I don't know.
No
I don't
proof.
know.
I haven't heard crap about that since.
There's no proof.
Well, the thing about it is okay, here it is. U.S. military investigating report of possible drone flying close to Air Force One. And this is from CNN. But anyway, we've had, this is 2 U.S. drones collide. Oh, this is the big military drones. Let me see what else I got here. That's the biggest one that scares me is the flying near the president's plane. That was asinine if it's true.
So unless there's proof, I don't believe it.
Yeah, my guess is we'll never ever get verified proof that it was a drone there.
You know how many times I've seen a bird like by us when we've been coming in to landing, and you are going so freaking fast that it's a little blip that just goes by.
Well, supposedly they were coming in to Dulles for a landing. They were on final approach.
Unless it was people on the ground that reported it, there's no way they're going to confidently see a drone from that airplane.
Yeah, see, that's what makes no sense to me either, is how somebody in the plane could have seen that drone on final approach.
It could have been a snow goose, for all they know.
Yeah, and nobody from the ground noticed it at all.
Yeah.
And the way they're – and another thing, too, if any drone that we know of got that close to Air Force One, wouldn't the jet wash and stuff alone throw it way out in the middle of nowhere?
Something, yeah. That's why I don't even think this story has any merit. That's why I don't even know why people are making a big deal about it. Because there's evidence,
because it just didn't smell right.
Well, here's the thing.
Seems like very clickbaity to me.
Okay, fine, but I'm seeing now that it's been reported also by Popular Mechanics.
Who are they?
Fox News has also reported it. So both sides of that coin.
Hey,
both sides of that. Military news. Times. Well,
fake news.
So any newsman? I'm just saying.
The whole point. They're all hearsay. Nobody has confirmation. It's all hearsay.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. How easy would it be to restrict all hobbyists from flying their drones if a drone was suspected to be flying near Air Force One? How easily would it be to enact something to ground us right now?
What could they possibly do?
They don't need a reason, Ethan. They can just say for safety cause. And
but physically, how could they enforce that?
Oh,
physically.
Well, I totally get what you're saying, but we didn't think we would get as far as we are already because we know what's going to happen. We already know that the future is we're going to have to rent a pillar of air to fly straight up and down in when it gets so. Well, they're going to enforce some people. Some people are going to get popped.
It's going to be like speeding.
Well,
that's all the time.
That's what kind of burns me out because, they're telling us, we have commercial airlines, professional, and we have hobby pilots, you would say too, who have gotten their license and stuff, but still fly planes, not in a commercial means, but in a hobby means. And that's allowed in the air. And then we have cars on the ground. We have trucks that are professional delivery vehicles, all that such. We have buses and stuff. And we also have personal vehicles. But now suddenly this little space between 100 feet and 400 feet, they're saying has to be restricted to just drones. So why is it that way up here, if you got enough money, you can fly a plane, and way down here, if you got enough money, you can fly a plane? But if you're in the middle, you can't fly a drone unless you're a professional. That doesn't make.
I don't think I follow that.
Well, because on the highway you have people who drive for a profession, right? So they would be your 107 class on the road, right? Okay. And in the air up here, your commercial airlines are your professional pilots. But you also have pilots that fly in the same airspace as those commercial airliners that he just flies for the hobby because he wants to see the beautiful scenery. He takes his friends out sometimes. They take pictures just like someone would do, for fun. Okay, on the street, on the ground level, someone will take their personal car to go take pictures at a mountaintop or something like that. So what I'm trying to say is personal and professional are allowed on street level. Personal and professional are allowed in the airspace. But for some strange reason, the FAA wants to say that personal can't share the airspace with professional drones. That's the way it's looking. You get what I'm saying now? Because they're trying to restrict us so much that we don't have the freedoms that you do in your personal vehicle or you would have in your personal plane. You can share the airspace or the street with those professional vehicles. But yet they're trying to tell us in the medium airspace that only the professional drones will have the leeway. That basically what I'm seeing is if you see a professional drone, what they're going to tell us, and you're in the air, you have to give way. I have a feeling that's what they're going to tell us next. So if you see an Amazon drone, you're going to have to move.
I don't foresee that. No, I don't foresee that at all.
But do you
and
see
also, commercial and residential pilots do not share the same airspace. You have to have special. So the airliners fly above 18,000 feet in Class A. You have to have special permission to go up there if you're a personal private pilot.
That's true.
You get my basic general.
That's
what
just
I'm trying to say is,
but I mean,
that's
for safety.
Yeah, I get that part of it, but what I'm trying to say is it's allowed. So we need the way they're being so restrictive to the hobby pilot.
Yeah, but we're basically going to have to get special permission to fly.
Yes.
Just like in that commercialized airspace. Well, that happens now with regular pilots.
But what
I'm not saying I like it, and I'm not saying there's even a way to enforce it, but I'm just saying that's what they're just. I do think it is for a safety thing. I do think it is for a money grab, but I don't foresee how they could possibly enforce it. So, just like speeding. There's speed. Do you drive 55 everywhere you go?
Okay, what's going to happen the first time that an Amazon drone's flying and it collides with another drone and falls and hits somebody? Yeah. Who do you think Amazon's going to blame? Who do you think's huh? What do you think? John,
I still think this Amazon thing is a pipe dream that's not going to actually happen because there's way too many problems logistically.
So why are we where we're at?
It would be easier for them to regulate the Amazon drone than everybody else.
I get what you're saying, but why are they being so restrictive to us now if they're not heading that way?
Because the corporations just want it. That's all. Amazon,
and nothing's been
want it, whether they or not.
And nothing's been put in stone yet either. So I'm not even worried about it.
So you don't think that they're going to enforce anything?
They can try, but I don't think there's a possible way they can do it.
Yeah, what you see is the analogy about the highways. Like he said, how many people speed? 90% of people speed. How many people actually get caught? 5%? Less than 5%? So that's what Ethan's trying to say. Even if they enact all the worst of the laws, only a small percent of hobbyist drone flyers are actually going to get caught violating it.
Oh, for sure.
You all are looking past my point. They're trying to strangle hobbyists out of the sky. They wanted to make it so difficult that we just give up, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so why are we where we're at?
If they were going to do that, they would ban sales of any drone product at all in the U.S. That would be the easiest way for them to do it.
You don't see the possibility of DJI drones getting banned in the U.S.? There is a possibility of that.
There's other companies though, and you can still buy the supplies to build your own.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
Everything can change in a heartbeat. That's all I'm trying to say is
Bill, let me answer your question for you about how we get here. How do we get here is John and Ethan make a good point. Well, John makes a good point. This Amazon delivery is never going to happen. But you see, there's somebody that works at Amazon or these other companies, not the head guy, but somebody there has convinced the uppers that we're going to be able to deliver packages by drone. And this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, but he's convinced people that it can happen. So these people have gone behind the scenes, hired lobbyists, gone to Washington, got senators and congressmen in their pocket. They pushed this through. But again, the person who's brainstormed this is at Amazon, UPS, these companies. They don't know what they're doing, but they're convincing enough to make the people that can make it happen think it's going to happen. Because those people don't know anything about drones. They've never flown a drone in their life. All they know is they've seen drones on TV or whatever. They don't really know. So, you know, you can convince somebody that doesn't know anything that you're going to be able to.
You got to bail, Ethan? You got to take off?
No, I was going to show you guys something. And
I'm done on my filibuster. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. It's just I didn't know if he's going to grab something. I didn't know what he was doing. I guess what I'm trying to say is they've never, the other spaces that I'm talking about have never been restricted as heavily as the drone area has. At least there was a ways to a means for a personal driver. You know, you got to a certain age, you got a permit, you were allowed to fly or allowed to drive. And what I was trying to compare to the area, I know that the airspace is vast, and I know that different pilots fly in different areas, but when they take off, they all drive through the same airspace to begin with. And you're allowed to share that airspace with a professional plane, with a hobby plane, with your own personal plane. That's allowed. So what I'm trying to say is it's bullshit that my hobby drone, if I fly it properly and respectfully and within the boundaries of law, needs to be told where and when it can fly, when an Amazon drone can take off, plot a course, and just bust ass. If I'm going to go through the trouble of, like, with getting permission and plotting what kind of flight I'm going to do, I should be allowed to do that without any hindrance or any problems whatsoever. And, you know, I shouldn't have to be told, well, you got to take this course. I mean, I don't mind getting a minor license, you know, as far as like a driver's license, you know, 16 years old, you need to take some kind of knowledge test to prove that you're going to handle it responsibly. And if you screw up and you wreck and you crash, it should just be like driving a damn car. You should have to pay the fines. You should have to pay the damages. And if it's too much, you've learned a lesson. So, you know, if you're willing to do that, I don't see this restrictiveness that they're trying to put on us. And I think it would be more profitable for them, just like Ron is talking about this money grab that, and we've discussed it before, that some idiots just thrown money at them saying, yeah, we're going to have flying cars in 6 years, you know, and we need this airspace now. I don't know. But,
so the systems that that they're proposing and they're probably going to put in place obviously were developed by these companies, and it's probably an easy way for these companies to get certified to do it by the FAA. That's probably why they're doing it, because then they can say they're not liable for anybody else, you know, running into them because they shouldn't have been in that airspace anyway. Right. So that's what I think it is. Now, how they're going to enforce this, I have no idea. Obviously, it would have been easier to do like a remote ID system based off like a license plate broadcast thing. That would be way easier. But obviously, with the, you know, from what I see, the systems that they got proposed are making it easier for these big companies to get it approved to do it. So, but, you know, I'm not worried about it because how are they going to force it, number one? And, you know, this is, be honest with you, that's why I keep this guy around, because even if all this stuff happens, there is no way the FAA is going to know if this is in the air. No way.
No.
Yeah, but how long is that battery going to live?
It's a lithium ion. I've already replaced it. You could solder in your own new one that you can buy off Amazon for $15.
Oh, very cool.
It's just a 3-cell.
Also, it's not a smart battery at all.
Well, it's got the circuits, but the main portion is just a regular like drone LiPo. That's it. And now they're pushing the firmware updates to the batteries. If you did disconnect it and it wiped the memory, you just need to update it and you're good to go.
Yeah, I mean, I still have a few drones myself that pretty much have no connection to the internet, like the Blade Chroma and the 350. I can fly those, and nobody would know anything about those. Yeah.
So that's why I'm very leery of DJI, because especially if anybody's got a Mavic Air 2 now, if you've noticed, they've buried the remote ID stuff that you turn on and off. And even if you turn it off, it automatically defaults to being back on when you turn the drone on.
Ooh, I did not know that.
Well, if it's buried now, though, there's no way to turn it back off.
Well, you can. It's just you got to go through a couple menus to get to it. But
how long we're
on the Mavic or on the Mavic 2 Pro. It's like the first screen at the top. Now on the Mavic Air 2, it's like the second screen all the way at the bottom. You know what I mean? And it automatically defaults to being on as soon as you power it up.
But at least Ethan,
I don't
though,
like that.
DJI drones are notoriously pretty hackable, and at the very least, somebody's probably going to come in if they have already. I don't know if they have already, but guarantee somebody's working on hacking the Mavic Air 2 to, you know, stop the DJI app from messing with it, and there will be a third-party app and all that fun jazz to liberate that drone too. So, you know, there are options to liberate our DJI stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean, if I you know, move back to the East Coast and I start doing commercial work again, I'll probably get a remote ID compliant drone just to be, you know, everything's all legit and whatnot, because, you know, we're getting paid. But as far as for fun and for like YouTube and stuff, oh yeah, you better believe we're flying this if those rules come into play.
Yeah, I think that everybody's ready to wind things down. So we're going to throw it around the room and let everybody say their good evenings. And I want to remind everybody, like I've said a couple times tonight, next week is going to be our Support Your Local Drone channel. We'll do our best to highlight your channel, talk about your statistics, look at your banner, maybe highlight a video or two if you don't mind. So please make sure you get in here next week. Bring all your friends that have drone channels. Drag them in here if you have to. Tell them to rent a laptop at your local store and come on in next week for Drone Therapy. Support Your Local Drone channel. And first off, I'm going to let say good evening is Mr. Ron Brown.
Thank you, Bill. Thanks for having me on. It was a great show tonight. I really learned a lot about the analog and digital FPV. It was a great discussion tonight, and both sides had very valid points. So, you know, congrats to Nemo, who's already left, and Ethan and John for a real, I'm going to call, you know, a hearty discussion, not a heated discussion, a informative discussion, which is nice to see. And I just want to shout out a couple people in the chat. Birdman RC, 360 RC joined us late. He's a big FPV guy down in North Carolina. And I want to shout out Jet Martin, who left a lot of great comments about the discussion tonight. Thanks for stopping in. So I'm looking forward to next week's show, shouting out some of the, you know, the channels that visit us, and some of them are you know, good friends and so on, and maybe new friends we're going to know. So I want to thank everybody for being in chat tonight. Great group in here, a lot of great comments, and I'm going to pass along to Ethan Mitchell, who just made a great HDR video this week that I recommend everybody going over to his channel and checking out his
link in the description.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah. Thanks, Ron. Well, it's great hang out with you guys tonight. It's always great to see everybody in the chat. Looking forward to next week. And we've had a great discussion today. It's always great going back and forth with Nebo and John, Ron, and Bill. But anyway, I hope everybody has a good evening. Have a good rest of your week and good weekend. And with that, I will throw it over to John.
Thank you, Ethan. You guys have just said it so perfectly. So, you know, with that being said, good night, guys. Everyone get some good sleep. This is a great little discussion. You know, even though the fight wasn't serious, I think there was a lot to learn from tonight's stream about analog and digital. So I hope you guys found that informative. And that's it. Good night, guys.
And I appreciate everybody. Please be sure to come back next week for Support Your Local Drone channel. And I think it's 6, 7, 8, 9, somewhere in that area. With that being said, live long and prosper.